Welcome everyone back to Above the Fold, again with Jeff and Francis, two guys in the trenches of digital marketing and SEO. From Brafton, of course. Francis, how you doing? Welcome back from vacation.
Right back at you, sir. Vacation was fantastic. I kind of forgot how to work after vacation, so this whole week has kind of been reintroducing myself to the day-to-day.
Frankly, I didn't even notice you were gone. No offense.
That's great. You know what? I did fine. Don't miss me at all. Don't even make me bring up the photo again that's in my office that is a constant reminder of your existence.
You know what's a constant reminder of your existence? Africa by Toto. I have to just state for the audience real quick. Francis sent me a version of Africa by Toto by the Wellington International Ukulele Orchestra. And I got to say, it was fantastic.
It's great.
I've been cracking up all morning.
Full credit. It's got to go to the managing editor, Greg Rowden. I'm going to mess that up, Greg. I'm sorry. It's just we've only been on a first name basis. We haven't really used last names, but he and I talk on a semi-weekly basis.
Yeah, it sounds like you're real close. You don't even know his last name.
Yeah, we're absolutely very. He's the one who sent that to me. He listened to the podcast and he said, of all things, beyond the feedback, he was like, "You've got to hear this. You've got to hear this." And I chatted him and I said, "You know what? For me, now that's the original Africa song. I don't want to hear anything else."
I think that's a little bit aggressive. And I think that's doing a major disservice to our friends at Toto.
Come on.
It's good.
Did you hear it? It's good. Amazing.
It's good.
It's absolutely amazing.
No, it is good. But I mean, come on, man. You're messing with a museum here. You're messing with history.
I don't think I'm messing with anything. I think I'm just being honest and truthful about, great music and when I hear it.
You're so classy. You've got so much taste. What did you end up doing on your vacation?
I went to the Outer Banks with my family and three other families for about a week. It was great. It was relaxing. We had a house on the beach. There was also a pool. We had like 8 bathrooms. Going from like one bathroom at the house. Well, because the house is huge. The house is humongous. It's got to take on like 4 or 5 families. So there's going to be multiple bathrooms. The fact that I could just walk around a corner and end up in a bathroom was great. Are you still
paying those folks to act like your family so you don't seem like an odd person, like an odd middle-aged man cruising around?
That was told to you in private, Jeff.
That's why you didn't go out on
where we air information.
That's why you didn't go out.
If you want to talk about paying people to be your family, how was your vacation?
Well, you notice that I didn't do it on a holiday weekend. Their rates are very, very expensive. There's like double time. So I try to catch my paid family on a lull. It was good. We go out to this place. Excuse me. We got to this place out if you're in Tahoe and you go about an hour and a half due northwest until your phone stops working. You're basically there and you're out in the woods. There's no cell phone reception, and they're still playing Vanilla Ice. So you just kind of go into a time machine in the forest, and it's good because you completely drop off the grid. You really can't do phone calls out there. You can't do internet. I mean, you're just back to roots. And I've talked about this with you before. I do wood carving. I'm a true Renaissance man, so it's a really good place to sit, drink beer, and do wood carving, play board games with my paid family, all that good stuff.
What did you whittle?
This time I was just, I was ideating. I didn't actually whittle anything. I actually didn't even pick up a knife. I was picking up some inspiration and ideas by detaching from electronics.
You were too drunk to whittle.
I was too drunk to whittle. Yeah, that's
too drunk to whittle.
I was too drunk to whittle. I like how you read right through my BS and just went right for the throat on that one.
I mean, we're direct, man. This is us. Like, I mean, there's a reason why you and I finished off multiple bottles of scotch in our times together. We don't have that wall anymore.
We do not have that wall. And you know what? I think we might be due for an Above the Fold with scotch at some point. We may get a completely different color of podcast at that point.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm down with that. It likely has to be in person though. I mean, drinking scotch with each other, but on the phone, it's not going to be the same thing.
It's really going to be a balance beam. I think we're going to fall on one side or the other. Like, we're either going to make it huge, or we're just going to splatter on the ground and make a total mess of ourselves.
Let's get this show on the road, man. And again, another prop to Greg out at he's at Castleford, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Castleford Content Marketing in New Zealand.
What's his last name again, Francis?
I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, man. I should have asked you yesterday. I can't wait to get the angry email via chat or whatever saying, hey, we're not talking anymore, man. Anyway, he suggested that, you know what, maybe we give the audience kind of a heads up, a quick list of what we're going to talk about, give you guys a clue as to where this journey is going to take us today. So what Jeff and I talked about was like, we'll do the list, but let's make sure these terms are vague, so it's still kind of a surprise. So right now, that is, here's the list. 3 things: rage bait, dumpster fire, brand size. That's what we're gonna jump into. And our first one is rage bait. And Jeff, this is gonna be for you. Little backstory here. My dad sent me an article about SEO, and basically the premise of the article was 6 reasons SEO may not be right for your business. I picked 3 of them.
Oh, this is good.
And I'm going to throw them at you, and we're going to see what happens. This is going to be the 20-second download. I'll be timing you. You got 20 seconds to react to these 3 things. You ready?
I'm going to need a lot. Oh, yeah. All right. Whatever.
Here we go. So here's the setup. I'm a prospect. I'm saying, you know what? SEO ain't right for me because there's low keyword volume. I serve a small local market. Competition is too strong. Go.
Are you kidding me? Are customers not right for you? Of course SEO is right for you. That's just like saying, I want to start a business and not sell anything to anybody. Yeah, of course you need SEO. Even if you're small, you still need to set up a local SEO type of strategy so people can find you. Okay, you don't have enough search volume. There's always, do you have enough customers?
Done. You're done.
Ooh,
You're done.
Jeez, that went quick.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay, there is a lot to unpack on this one. All right, let's take these topic by topic here. You said you had 3 items that were part of this discussion, right? Hit me with each one of those so that I can take a breath I can properly address it like a civilized human being.
I'll be honest. I thought you'd be angrier, but maybe it's just going to come out a little bit as we talk.
I can't be angry. It's too silly. It's a ridiculous question. I mean, it's not. It's too absurd. It's like you don't get mad at somebody. You don't get mad at Forrest Gump, right? Like it's just too silly. No, it's just too silly.
All right. Breathe. Take that breath. First one: low keyword volume.
Okay, so saying that you have too low of a keyword volume is like saying that there's not enough customers out there to support your business, right? Mm-hmm. So if there are customers out there to support your business and buy all the crap that you're selling, whether it's a service or a product, then there are people searching it, period. There's nothing to add to that. If there's enough people to support you as a business, then there are enough people, there's enough search volume to be found. They are using, like we mentioned in previous podcasts, they are using language in search to find your products and services. And if you're saying that there aren't enough people to do that, then there aren't enough people to run your business, and you probably need to find a new business.
So, assuming the business is working, but it's the perception, they have the perception of that people aren't searching for their keywords. There's low keyword volume. I guess the real question is, how do you combat that? How do you get over that hill in the sense that, hey, you know what, prospect, that's not actually accurate. Like kind of what you're saying, you have customers out there. But I guess where is that? Where do you get the customers to start searching for a keyword for that business to suddenly not worry about low keyword volume?
Okay, this is actually a pretty good question because this has come up specifically with a client that I had years ago. They came to us and said, well, we don't have keywords. We are very specific. Like they were a online consultancy, business consultancy for very, very specific things. Which is my veiled way of saying I don't know what the hell they did. But they did very, very specific things for their clients, and they said that they didn't have any keywords. So what I said back to them was, all right, look, every single, and I am a firm believer in this, every single company has keywords. There are keywords that can be found. And they came to us after about 2 different vendors who said, no, you don't have any keywords, including somebody from Google. They said like, oh yeah, some rep from Google said you don't have keywords. Like, all right, that's BS. What you need to do is you need to figure out not what keywords you would use, what keywords or what types of language are your customers having when they're talking with you. So when you're talking with them in person, how do they refer to your products and what kind of things are they searching? Because they're likely not using the language that you're using. You're deeply ingrained in whatever niche stuff it is that you're selling, right? So you're going to know what the language is. They're not. They're going to be searching something completely different because they don't make industrial Ethernet cables. They're going to be searching for giant cable thingy in warehouse. Right?
Yeah.
So you got to figure out if your customers are searching giant cable thingy in warehouse, and you need to write content for that because that's what your customers are searching. That's not what you're searching. So that's the first part of that. The second part is,
I think that's very true. I mean, if you don't listen to your audience, if you're not, kind of with them in that sense, you're just not talking to the right person. You're not even talking the right language to each other. If it's a miss, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it. You're speaking 2 different languages, so you need to get on the same page with the language. Second part is once you find it, and if you are in a niche like we're talking about, low search volume. Yeah, that's part of it. By definition, you being in a very small space means you're going to have a low search volume because there's not many people searching it. However, the flip side of that, usually those low search volume keywords have very low difficulty scores, so your odds of ranking for those are very high. Not to mention the intent of somebody searching one of those keywords. They know, I mean, at that point, if they're searching very specific stuff, like I mentioned, industrial Ethernet solutions, they know what they're looking for. They're shopping. They've got their credit card on their laptop and they're comparing vendors right now. And they're like, who do I give my money to? So you've kind of got a double benefit here. So I would argue that in these particular instances, I can show better results for customers because I can figure out what those keywords are just by asking some of the customers, their customers. And we can
especially in a smaller local market too, because I mean, if they're right there, you actually may even have access in person to a lot of these people. You'll be able to kind of figure out what's going on and so on. I have to imagine it, and we don't have to get into this part, but it's probably more complicated if a business is in a small local market and they're actually trying to expand. And maybe then you're up against languages in the sense of like comparing local phrases to national ones. Which could combat each other.
Could, yeah. I don't run into that too often, but yeah, that is a possibility. I would argue that some of these instances that you're talking about with low search volume, niche types of players, you know what? You might actually be better served in SEO with these types of plays than you would somebody's in like a mainstream market. Like I would much rather do SEO for somebody that's in industrial Ethernet solutions than car insurance. Like, I mean, oh my God. Good luck competing with some of the powerhouses out there. You're just, sure, the search volume's there. You're never going to see any of it because you're going to get swamped out by Geico and Allstate and Allstate. That's the deep voice guy, right?
Yeah, that's the deep voice guy.
Yeah, right. Those guys. You're just going to get swamped out by those guys. Okay, last point on this. If the competition is too strong, then you need to find different keywords. So you need to figure out like what I'd call the white space, and that's keywords that none of your competitors are using that your audience is probably using. There is always white space. There are always keywords that are untouched that don't have any competition yet. So you just got to figure out what those are. For example, let me just get back to the car insurance one. Because that's a really, really good one. You're going to be way crowded out for car insurance quotes, all of the variant terms for that. However, you might not be crowded out for a very specific local search. Like, where was that place that you were on vacation?
Outer Banks in North Carolina.
Car quotes, Outer Banks, North Carolina. All right. So maybe you do like a local search play, or you just get into very, very specific terms that have a low search volume that nobody owns. So I would much rather grab up like 10 to 20 terms that only search, 10, 15, 20 times per month and rank on the first page for those than try to target some massive term that you're never going to get any traction on that searches, 10,000 times per month.
So just, at the end of it, we're getting up to the time, at the end of this segment here, takeaways from this, the idea that the prospect saying that this is their perception, reaction, what should happen here, man? Like, if someone is up against a prospect saying these things, if an actual prospect is listening to this, what should they understand from your rage bait reaction here?
Okay, if you are a for-profit business, you should be doing SEO. You need to take that into consideration because there are gains to be had for you, and the world is moving. If not already completely moved online, they are moving online in every single market, no matter how niche you think you are. So you need SEO, and if you've got a strong strategist that can do good keyword research, there are keywords for you that you can own.
Noted. SEO is important. Stop saying otherwise. Jeff Baker's still mad.
No, you know what? I think this was cathartic. I'm good. I feel a little lighter. Thank you. You helped me release some of that stored up energy.
Whoa! Keep this clean, man. Don't release anything right now. Come on. Let's be civil. Moving on. All right, I got one for you. Topic 2 here.
All right. You know what? This one doesn't need any sort of context. I'm just going to lay it on you. Okay. Are you ready for your 20-second download, Franny Poo?
Let's go.
Francis, how can your content end up as a total dumpster fire? Go.
Quality, misspellings, wrong keywords, wrong audience. You're not writing to the right audience. You've completely missed the mark in terms of tone. Maybe even talking something that should be more professional and you're being more casual. There's topics. Why? Oh man, did I mention topics twice? I felt like I mentioned topics twice in that thing.
Know. I wasn't paying attention. I was just looking at the clock.
Dumpster. No matter where I am, dumpster fire. That phrase will always make me laugh. So you kind of, yeah.
It paints a perfect picture of a disaster scenario. I mean, you've got first off, dumpsters are terrible, smelly places. Second off, there's garbage in it and it's on fire. I mean, it is a perfect worst case scenario. You've got smoking garbage, like everything has gone wrong in your life. Okay, so getting back to the topic, you dove. You know what? It was kind of interesting. You dove straight into like some of the technical aspects of writing. I think you first started off with misspellings. Tell me
here's the thing.
Just explain to me, because that doesn't get to me as much as it gets to other people. Like I see typos and go, oh, okay, whatever. Some people will see a typo and just go total rage cage and be like, oh, these guys do not know what they're talking about. I have to discount everything that comes after the typo. Explain that to me.
Well, I mean, you've said this before, man. Each month there's 83 million blogs, right? Out there on the interwebs. And for someone, English major, journalism major, when you see a typo, it's almost as if suddenly my brain goes into like, well, who read this? Who edited this? Why didn't they catch this? Why is it that word that they messed up? How do they mess up there and there? And then it takes me out. Basically, it's an exit. Each story, each kind of piece of content has kind of these exit points, no matter where you are or how long it is. And one of them for me is a typo. The second I see a typo, I'm gone. My brain shifts lanes and I'm thinking about that typo. I do move on from it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I still read the article, but suddenly I'm reading the article with this new set of eyes of saying, well, there was a typo in this and, maybe something happened. I don't know. So it loses its, it can lose authority in my eyes. It can lose quality is already going downhill. In my mind, it's already kind of starting to tick into, well, I don't know if there was a typo, what else did they miss?
All right, so you're kind of like, from your standpoint, this is a total credibility issue. Your credibility goes out the window the second that you prove that you don't know how to do the basic things that you need to do to write a proper piece of content. So I guess for a similar thing for me would be if I was reading an article and in the first paragraph they used, say for example, this is an article about SEO. In the first paragraph, they used some sort of phrase that nobody in the SEO industry would use. Everything after that, I'm just throwing out the window and assuming these guys have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Is that like a similar scenario that you're talking?
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
And I'll even see it with New York Times articles, and even that's kind of like, I feel like that's even worse. It's like, I feel like, what, you guys should have caught this, But anyway, that's what happens in my brain with typos.
Okay, let's dive into some of the other topics that you're talking about as far as thematic stuff, like the actual content that you write, the topics that you select. How did those end up a total mess and create the aforementioned dumpster fire?
See, every time I even know it's coming, and then I hear it, and it's just automatic giggles. With topics, if it's always going to be a process. You start a relationship, you start a kind of connection with a client or a prospect, and you're thinking about, these are the topics I think my audience is going to appreciate. I think the operative word there is thinks. And so you start at a place and you start kind of like, getting closer to wherever that center is. Where the content ends up in a dumpster fire is when someone says, these are the topics, these are absolutely the topics. Nothing is going to change my mind. No audience, no comment, no analytical report, no data is going to change my mind. I want these topics because me owning the website, I want to see this headline or phrase in my blog.
So you're talking about the megalomaniac dictator.
Yeah, and like that's an extreme example. Absolutely, yeah, it's an extreme example, but it's elements, shades of it do exist, and when that flexibility doesn't exist, is where you inch closer to that dumpster fire. Topics are always going to be something that has to be figured out, that you have to inch toward. You don't build an audience with one magic bullet of a topic. It's got to be an ongoing thing. This topic begets that one, and it's got to build up to something. And you don't do that with one or even five. It's really got to take time.
Right. So where I've seen, I'm going to jump in here and add to this dumpster fire. I got my can of gasoline, and I'm going to throw some more on this.
Okay.
Where I've seen things go wrong is brands that think they're way more important than they are. And what I mean by that is in like topic selection, for one. They want to talk about themselves, and they want to talk about the topics that they want to talk about rather than topics that their audience want to talk about. So a good example would be like, in every article, we need to refer back to our products in some way. We need to tie this back to a product. We need to tie this back to a service. No, you don't. Like I said, like you said, there's 83 million blogs per day. No, they're there. Your visitors are there to learn, and they're there to be entertained. If you're not doing either one of those things, if you're pitching them, they don't care about you. Like I've said this before, nobody cares about your business but you. So you need to offer something to your readers that's of value. And by pitching them in a blog post, nobody got time for that. So I think if you overemphasize your brand and you think assuming people care about you, that's the first place you go wrong. Thoughts on that?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, if you're not listening to the audience, if you are just kind of going down that road, it's not going to be helpful at all. There's so many instances where because of the singular vision of anybody on via brand, website, whatever, and it kind of dictates everything. It just leads you down, and then you go into this ROI conversation. Well, we've done all these topics. We did what you said. Here's your ROI. It's not what you expected because you're not listening to your audience. You're not providing the information. You're not, and to be honest, no one wants to be sold to. There's a savvy audience out there that understands sales language to a degree, understands that when the content suddenly veers or shifts, that, oh, they're selling me now. You don't need to do that. You're exactly right that it has to be insightful. The audience has to get something out of it. Being sold to every single time is not it.
That's a problem. Like, we'll work with people and they will do things like this. We want to talk about this and this and this and that. And then by the time it comes to showing some sort of ROI, meaning, who's come to the site and read the content, and they are just shocked, absolutely shocked that nobody's coming and reading their content, because essentially they've just built a shrine to themselves. They would have been better served just writing a personal blog about the things that they want to write about on a free WordPress or Tumblr site.
Funny, that's true, actually. Being more genuine, and making that connection. We've talked about this before. Connecting with the audience, way, way better than kind of presenting hey, this is the thing that I have. This is the service or product that I have that could help you. No, connecting in some sort of like deep, profound, well, maybe profound is a little bit too deep, but a deep way with the audience where they understand this is who they are, this is who they stand for, and what they care about. That's huge. And the brands that do it well, do it really well. I think the brands that try, you can tell they're trying, but it's not getting there, because honestly, being genuine online can be scary.
Yeah. And I think that these brands need to they need to understand what a blog is. Like, blogs are not meant to be white papers. They're not meant to be encyclopedias that take a year to write and an entire village to approve. I've seen blog posts take 3 months and 9 different people involved in the editing process. And it just takes forever to get out the door. And then nobody comes to the blog. That's not the point. You need to write good content for your audience and get it out the door as fast as possible. Okay, we've got about 30 seconds, Francis. Put a bow on this thing.
So, avoiding the dumpster fire. Listen to your audience. Know that topic generation is a process and not a, 1 or 2 shot deal. And understand that it's not about you. You want to connect with your prospects, with your clients. Make sure that's there.
Well put.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You're up, man. You get the third one. This is brand size. So again, I'm not going to give you any context here whatsoever. I will say that actually this kind of is a good segue to where we were kind of ending with the last one. Anyway, here we go. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah, hit me.
Here we go.
You got your stopwatch ready?
I do. I pathetically do, because I need something to help time 20 seconds for me. Here we go. Does the size of your brand dictate what you can and can't say on social media?
Okay. No. You need to be funny. You need to be human. The best social media accounts are the ones that aren't stuffy, that don't take 3 layers of approval in order to get out the door. So I think the more that you appear human and the more funny stuff that you post, the more your audience is going to appreciate.
Done.
Okay.
I think this is interesting because what you just said at the end, as long as, posting something funny, I think that is it can be dangerous online. What's funny to one person might not be funny at all to somebody else. Like, there's almost an internet funny that you have to be, hit that small or medium-sized target for this to work.
Dude, I know, and I'm going to go against my instincts on this one. I really am. And I think you've got a good point there, in that funny will offend somebody, no matter what. Even people that go to comedy shows will still get really mad and offended by some sort of joke, even though they went and signed up to hear funny. So right. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole spectrum of what people think is funny. So as a big brand, you could risk a lot, because as you get bigger, you've got more of a spotlight on you, especially on social media. Right. I mean, just take any of the athletes that tweet dumb things and they just get lit up by the public. It happens almost regularly. It's, you know what, if I were a coach for a major league team, any major league team, I would ban all my players from Twitter. End of story. You get fined every time you tweet, because nothing good, honestly, nothing good comes from a tweet that comes out from an athlete. Like they're just constantly landing themselves in hot water. So I find myself going further and further closer and closer to what you're saying here. However, there are instances where major brands are pretty damn funny on social media, and that's memorable. I mean, that's a lot more memorable than just putting out a bunch of impotent tweets about their articles and, totally safe and sane tweets that nobody ever wants to read about. Here, I pulled up an example on the fly here. It's an article. Okay, I'm going to read you the title. Police are looking for a female jogger who regularly poops outside people's homes. Okay. Now, Charmin, the toilet paper brand?
Yeah.
All right. They tweeted, if the hashtag Mad Pooper turns herself in, we'll give her a year's supply of toilet paper to help with her runs, quote unquote. With the smiley face poop emoji.
Wow.
Now, okay.
That's amazing.
So,
that's amazing.
I realize some people might be offended by poop. However, if you can't laugh at hashtag Mad Pooper, then you know what? I don't want you as a customer. That is hilarious.
Oh, I agree. Sorry, that was a phone that just went off. If you heard that,
is this not our time? This is our time.
I know it's
Francis.
our time. Someone's disrespecting our time.
I don't appreciate that.
I'll add another 30 seconds to our time. Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's going to go in deep into our relationship now about how we don't have enough time for each other. You want to just not talk about brand size and just go right into that?
Let's say that for now. I think we need to take that one. We need to take that one offline. I'm not going to subject our poor audience to that.
Anyway, that's
used and abused in the relationship.
Untrue. Need I remember the picture on my wall? I agree. I mean, that's funny. Charmin, good job, and other brands do it well too. I mean, the one that always comes to my mind is Wendys. Anytime Wendys makes a tweet, it's like a news story. It's one tweet, and then they get all this coverage because it's funny, and they're going up against McDonald's, or they're saying something in the news or something like that. What's interesting to me is that and I don't know I have no understanding of how or when this happened, but at some point they decided to have that personality, to have that tone, and then they went with it, and they've been able to kind of parcel it out on, a very almost like handing it out specifically at certain instances, and it's been working well. The fact that I don't even, let's be honest, man, I don't even eat at Wendy's all that much. I love when they tweet, and I will talk about it to people when I see them. Literally,
that was the next thing on this list of this article that I pulled up was Wendys.
Oh, what was it?
Yeah. I'm just going to give you give me 30 seconds. I'll read through a couple of these tweets here. Wendys tweets out, our beef is way too cool to ever be frozen. Sunglasses, smiley face emoji. Guy tweets back at him and starts a war. For the audience, you don't start a war with Wendys on social media because they don't care. They'll just get at you. So this guy tweets back at him. Your beef is frozen. We all know it. Y'all know we laugh at your slogan, fresh, never frozen, right? Like, you're really a joke. Wendys tweets back, sorry to hear you think that, but you're wrong. We've only used fresh beef since we were founded in 1969. This guy doubles down. Y'all should give up. Hashtag at McDonald's got you guys beat with a dope-ass breakfast. Wendy says, you don't have to bring into this just because you forgot refrigerators existed for a second there. Dude, strong. Owned. Wendy's owned.
Oh, yeah. See?
That's good.
That's amazing.
I'm not a Wendy's guy. I'm not a square burger guy. However, I like to be entertained guy. And, I remember Wendy's as the people that actually are funny and have a brand voice.
Yeah.
They're unafraid. And so,
Absolutely.
maybe they lose. All right, let's play this out. Maybe you lose 10% of your customers because this offended somebody out there that's particularly soft on talking about frozen meat. However, what about the 50% of their audience that just doubled down on their investment in Wendy's because they just realize, hey, this company that I really, really like already, and I regularly eat square patties. They just prove that they're funny and human. You know what? I'm going to go to Wendys today. I'm going to go there 3 times a week until I weigh a metric ton. You know, maybe you get more brand loyalty out of the people that you really want.
I mean, consider this. We're 2 dudes who don't normally go to Wendy's, and we're talking about Wendy's for at least the past 2 minutes. I'm actually getting hungry now. Like, we're exactly
So am I.
What should be happening for Wendy's. Like, the fact that they've done this, they have 2 prospects here that are thinking, hey, you know what? I could use a square burger right now that isn't frozen meat, and I'm going to find the Wendy's that's in Downtown Crossing in Boston. That's exactly what that should be doing. It's an instance of when marketing, I think, is actually working, and the fact that, you know, it goes from tweet to news story, since you just read it, to where we are talking about it now in a podcast, to our stomachs being that I am hungry now, I want fries and a burger. It just spiked. Seriously, the hunger just spiked as I said that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's something to that, knowing that this isn't just like a faceless, cold institution. You know, this is people with a sense of humor. I think of Wendy's now, and I'm thinking, yeah, these are regular dudes, you know, just having a barbecue with their square burgers. And yeah, you got me. And as our CEO likes to say, with your content, either teach me something, entertain me, or get the hell out of the way. Actually, I improvised that third one. He's actually much more professional. Yeah, he's much more professional. That's not very Tom, is it? He's much more professional than I am. But I paraphrase and I embellish. However, I think that basic 3 tenets holds true, and I think it's pretty well tied into everything that we talked about here today. I
think going a little further, I think the one thing I would like to talk about at some other point is when does a big, like Wendy's, when does a big brand or established brand, how do they change their tone? How do they suddenly go into the other lane of like, you know, we're going to do this? And what is the thinking behind that? Like, how do they become so focused and be like, you know what, I don't care if it's going to be weird for the first 2 months. This is who we are, and we're going to run at it. Because that's more interesting to me than, like, you know, should the size of your brand dictate what you say or don't say. I think when you are a larger brand, how do you make that choice? How do you make that shift where suddenly you're not just Wendy's anymore? You're Wendy's on Twitter, and it's hilarious. And, you know, other people who have never eaten at Wendy's now want to eat there because you're funny online. I would love to find out how that happened.
I think this is a matter of not having... okay, so an expression that I got from Avinash Kavanaugh. It's like one of my all-time SEO favorite people. One of the most well-known, whatever. He calls them hippos, highest paid person in the room, hippo decisions.
Okay.
So usually when you get a hippo decision, it's a little bit more conservative, and it's a little bit like, not so creative for the most part. I think this type of thing is the result of not having 8 hippos in the room and making a decision. I think this is just you roll with it, right? So they probably just said, hey, you know what? Let's just try a couple tweets where we are acting like we're talking to a friend. And it probably picked up steam, and it's obviously working. We're talking about them right now.
Yeah, we have been. I mean, we could have just dedicated a whole podcast to Wendy's and eating burgers. We probably should have.
We could just do 30 minutes of reading their tweets. Again?
I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I'll turn off the ringer next time. But you know what? We'll use that as a thing to say this is getting wrapped up. So, size of your brand dictating social media. Wrap this up with a bow, Jeff Baker. What's the takeaway here?
So takeaway is, for me, you are running a bigger risk when you have a bigger spotlight on you. So if you're a larger company, you could tweet things, and you probably will tweet things that are going to be offensive. However, I think you need to run that risk, because if you don't get a little bit edgy and you don't get a little bit risky, you run a bigger risk of just seeming flat and impotent. Oh, that was a little too visual. I don't know. That might get left on the cutting room floor. Oh, there we go again. You may run the risk of having very mundane and beige types of tweets and communications with your audience. And That's just not going to work. That's not going to be memorable. So I think you're going to have to risk the 10% for the 50% of customers that are going to be extra loyal to you if you show that interesting brand voice.
Yeah, just be you. Just be genuine. Get yourself out there.
Just be you, man.
A couple new friends. All right.
Let's wrap. I think that wraps this thing up nicely. I've had about enough of you today, Francis.
Me too. Right back at you.
No offense. You've got a shelf life, and I think we've reached the expiration date. So with that, let's tie this whole thing together. This is Brafton, Jeff, and Francis. You can reach us at brafton.com. You can reach Francis on Twitter at McFancy. Is that right, Francis? McFancy?
It is, and I should probably start tweeting stuff because I haven't done any of that, but that is where I'm at.
You can find me at Baker Rhythms, BAKER_RITHMS. You can also now find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Google Podcasts, right?
That's
Google
right.
Play.
And now it feels real. It feels real that we're out there. We're being genuine. And, my dad can find us, on iTunes. Well, maybe he can find us on iTunes. I'm actually not sure if he can do that. But the potential is there, which is always...
what are we going to do when we reach our goal and we can explain content marketing to your mom and she understands what it is? Do we quit? Do we just hang it up?
We hang it up, man. If my mom can be on this podcast and explain content marketing to you, I think it's done. That's the ultimate goal.
All right, Francis. All right, everybody. We will see you on the next version of Above the Fold. Until then, cheers.
Bye-bye.